Hello guys, this is Dear Colola Daniels, Dear Colola Daniels, and I'm a 500 level student of University of Lagos Faculty of Law, and I'm also the National Director of the Directorate of Policies, Programs and Projects for the Law Student Association of Nigeria, LAWSAN. And this video is brought to you by Sensei. I hope you guys can hear me. Like, can you hear me? Do they say they can hear me? Okay, so this video is brought to you by Sensei in partnership with my YouTube channel, as well as with the Directorate of Policies, Programs and Projects of LAWSAN. Do you understand? So before I move into what we have today is how to study law and how to pass law exams. How to study law and how to pass law exams. Now, the reason I came up with this thing is because as the National Director of Policy, Programs and Projects, I was looking at the fact that a lot of people, especially year 1, year 2, when I was in year 1 myself, it was a very difficult thing. So when we entered the faculty newly, we just finished doing literature, CRS and a whole lot of that. When we entered the faculty newly, we don't understand, we don't get grasp of what exactly are we supposed to do. Do you understand? Which is the reason I said, let us have something for the new year 1 students who are either about to write exams or are coming in newly, and then especially the year 2 students who are writing contract law for the first time and also writing constitutional law, administrative law and all of that. And also for year 3 and year 4 students, there are some people that are currently in year 3 and in year 4 that don't understand what it is like to study law, like understand how to study it and how to write law exams. So this video is supposed to be for all of these people in these categories. But before I move straight into answering the questions, I want you to look at this video.
Sensei is an online learning community for tertiary level students. Within our community, we do 3 basic things. The first thing is to match our users with tutors or senseis, as we like to call them, on our platform. These senseis are high intellect students or external tutors who have been approved by the community based on their activity on the platform and have been identified as people that you can learn from. The second thing we do on Sensei is to host and promote academic content on our platform. This content comes in 2 various forms. It could be words to read or video tutorials, as you'll be seeing more often via our social media channels. And the third thing we do on Sensei is to promote interactive learning. This we do by hosting a question and answer forum on our platform. Here you are able to discuss with like minds, know what topics are raising controversies here and there. And of course, you have senseis who can chip in with answers. We as a team hope that Sensei will improve your learning experience and your academic journey during your stay at the university or tertiary level. Thank you.
Yeah, I can.
Sensei is an online.
Before the break, I spoke about the reason we are having this session. So now we are moving straight into how to answer law questions. Now, we are supposed to start with how to answer law questions. But before we go into how to answer law questions, we need to actually understand how to study law. That is very, very important. What most people don't usually know is that you don't study law like you are reading government. You are no longer reading what is sovereignty, what is a state, what is a nation, military rule in Nigeria, and all those things. This case, you are studying law. You have to study it in line with certain rules. If you don't do it in line with certain rules, then you are not going to understand it so much so that you will not be able to answer it in exam. Do you understand? And for those who want to be moot people, for example, someone like me, I'm a mock person. These are also things that you need to take note of. Do you understand how to study it? How do you raise issues? How do you answer those issues? And how do you conclude in an exam hall? Those are the questions we are going to be answering today. So let us start with how to study law. Do you understand? So the first thing that we need to note on how to study law is that you need to have a course outline. Most people don't like having course outline. Having course outline is like a Google map for you to be able to know from what destination to what destination you are going. Do you understand? When you don't have a course outline, then you begin to read everything that comes to your presence. You must have a course outline. That is the point. You must have a course outline, and do not read outside your course outline. Secondly, you have to go to class. If you don't go to class, you are not going to know what the lecturer is teaching. Do you understand? There are some people that like forming XY, and they will say, oh, I can study it in my hostel, I can study it in my hostel. There are some lecturers, especially in my faculty, who deliberately come to class to drop certain cases. They are dropping certain cases because they want to go and research on those cases. Those cases are not in your textbooks. So for example, you have a course like contract law. You know that you are supposed to read SAGE. And there's also another point. Please, I am begging you, when you are studying a course, you already have a lot of courses. Just use one particular textbook to study. So for example, you have SAGE for contract. Don't be forming professor. You want to read SAGE on contract, you want to read Tritel on contract, you want to read Chisaya and 5 foot on contract, you want to read all the contract textbook, and you are just offer alone, and you still have to go from offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to enter legal relation, capacity. But you have a lot of things to do. Try to move fast with that one textbook that you have. Then along the line, if there is something you need to check from other textbooks, you can go into other textbooks to get it. Do you understand? So lecturers most times will come to class and make sure that they give cases that they want to see in exam hall. Those are their own cases, especially in the CIL department in my school. They usually give peculiar cases because they want to see them. But if you miss those classes, you are going to read only those cases that are inside the textbooks, thereby not getting the cases that the lecturers want you to get. So not only are you supposed to have a course outline and stick to it, you are supposed to come to class so that you can get what the lecturer is saying. You are supposed to stick to just one textbook, and also you are supposed to have a reading note. For every of my courses, I have reading notes. My land law has a note, my equity has a note, my company law has a note, my evidence has a note. Every single thing must have a note. When I was in year 1 and year 2, what I usually do is, I come to this class, they say A, I write A in one particular note. I come to another class, that same course, they say B, I write B in another note. So when it's now drawing closer to exam, and I start trying to look at these jointed things up and down, it doesn't help me plan my go on a straight line. Do you understand? But when you have a note, every single thing is written in your notes. You know how to move from one point to the other. Do you have to know this how to study law? You see, when you are studying law, there are different courses. The first kind of that you have is the statute-based course. There are types of courses. First course that you have, statute-based course. And the question is, what are statute-based courses? Statute-based courses are those courses that you have their authorities drawn from statutes. Do you understand? We have statute-based courses. So constitutional law, for example, is statute-based course. And you are forming your notes. But I can just for you pens to read, as 3 biro to read. I use black, blue, and red. Do you understand? What do I need with the blue pen? I use the blue pen to write my rule. What do I need with the red pen? I use the red pen to write my cases or my section. Then I use the black pen to write my facts. So that when I'm reading through my notes, I can see. When you read a particular rule, this rule says offer that is made to the whole world is a this. And then what is the authority for it? What is the fact for it? What is the judgment? Do you understand? It follows that particular sequence. Do you understand? So let us start with the statute-based courses. Now, for example, you have constitutional law. In constitutional law, you cannot speak on constitutional law except you are drawing your authority for speaking from the constitution. So, for example, if we are saying that constitution is supreme, we are saying, there must be supremacy of the constitution. Abi? That's a rule, abi. If you have a law that has been made by either the National Assembly or by the State House of Assembly that contradicts the Constitution, that is in conflict with the Constitution, according to section 1 subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, it says that if any other law is inconsistent with the provisions of this Constitution, that other law that shall be inconsistent and null and void. Do you understand? If any law is inconsistent with the provision of this Constitution, that other law shall be inconsistent and null and void. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing it. Now, when you are quoting section 1 subsection 3 as an authority for supremacy of the Constitution, you have to back it up with cases. Do you understand? Now, for statute-based cause, there must be section and then there must be case. There must be rule, section, case. Do you understand? So, the first thing, supremacy of the Constitution is the rule. The section is what? Section 1, subsection 1, 2, and 3. The first case that talks about supremacy of the Constitution is the case of Madison versus Marbury. Madison versus Marbury is an American case. But when you're talking about Nigerian cases on the matter, you have the case of Lakomi versus AG of Western Nigeria. You have other cases that speak on constitutional supremacy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you're talking about statute-based causes, you read them rule, then section, then case. Do you understand? That's how you read statute-based causes. However, the second type of causes that we have are case-based causes. Now, those causes for year 1 students, the reason I'm breaking this thing down like this is because I believe that there are a lot of year 1 students here who do not understand these things. So you need to know that when you are reading a course, you have the one that is statute-based. For example, constitutional law. Another example is criminal law. Every single thing, according to section 2 of the criminal law, the criminal code rather, it says that an offense is what is defined in an act and has its punishment attached to it in that same act. So you cannot have an offense except it is written in an act. That's the case of Aoko and Fagbemi, where somebody was being charged for adultery in southern Nigeria, and then the court held that there is no law like adultery in southern Nigeria. You can have it in northern Nigeria or anywhere else, but you don't have it in southern Nigeria. Do you understand? So for criminal law, for example, you cannot quote a rule without attaching a section. If you do that, you are wasting your time. You cannot pass the course. Do you understand that? You can't pass the course if you quote a rule. So for criminal law, which is an example, I already cited the case of Aoko and Fagbemi. I cited section 2, and also you have section 357. Now, section 357 has to do with rape. Now, you cannot say a person has raped another person except it is written in the law and it is written in the criminal code. What does the criminal code define rape to be? Now, you can only talk on rape as an authority if you are relating to that particular section. If you are not talking about the section, then you are talking bullshit. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for statute-based causes, you must quote section. I've given you an example of criminal law. I've given you an example of constitutional law. So you have to know the cause that you're studying. Now, when you're talking about case-based causes are those causes that draw their authority from cases. They don't draw their authority from statutes because there is no statute on that particular cause. Do you understand? Now, example of case-based causes is contracts. Contract, two people, Mr. A and Mr. B. Let me teach you a little bit of contract law, so that because I'm going to answer a question in the second segment of this episode, so let me teach you a little bit. Now, when Mr. A, for example, if you want to buy something from, let's say, Yaoloja or one of those women on the street, when you get there, you give your money. Or let's say you made an offer to the woman that you wanted to buy it for 100 naira, but the woman countered your offer that is what, 200 naira. Abi, then you either accept that offer of 200 naira or you counter your offer, or her offer rather, by saying that you have 150 naira. Do you understand? That's how contract law of offer works. Now you see that law of offer, it is not in any statute. It is gotten from cases from our courts. Do you understand? It started with England. One of the first, cases on law of contract is the case of Khalil versus Kabolik. Almost everybody knows the case of Khalil versus Kabolik. That says that offer can be made to the whole world. Do you understand that? That is not written in any section. It is not written in any statute. You have counter offer is a valid offer. Major Oni versus Communication Associates. It is not written in any section. It is not written in any statute. But yet it is still part of our laws. Do you understand? So when you are talking about statute-based courses, you are talking about courses that do not have their authority from. When you are talking about case-based courses, you are talking about courses that do not have their authority from cases, from statutes rather. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are talking about case-based courses. You are talking about courses that do not have the authority from statute. I'm sorry, I mixed the whole thing up. We now move to the third type of courses. You have the mixed. The third type of courses is the mixed kind of courses. So now there are some courses that have both the statute and then the cases. Now that's land law. Land law is kind of confused. You see, when you're studying land law, from the beginning, you are saying case. But when you get to a certain point, you start saying section. Do you understand? So when you're talking about this kind of courses, which is the reason you need to go to classes, so that you would know the kind of courses that you are studying. So for case-based courses, you have tort. Tort is an example of a case-based course, because most of the rules of tort, you have trespass to land, trespass to chattel, trespass to you have trespass to person, and then you also have a lot of other things under tort. You see those rules of tort. Now, for example, they come from the courts. They don't come from any statute. There's a particular principle in tort, which is quid plantator solo sedit, which means that anything you have, you are the owner of anything on your land, as well as anything beneath your land and above your land, which means if anybody comes without your permission to your land, then the person has trespassed on your land. That's a particular Latin maxim of tort. Now that is gotten from a case. It's not gotten from a section. Do you understand? So when you are answering tort question, you have to know that it is very rare for you to find section in a case-based course. I'm not saying that it is totally not possible. I am saying that it is rare. Do you understand? Unlike a statute-based course, that everything you do, you cannot talk about that course without quoting section. You can't talk about the Constitution and fundamental human rights without talking about Section 33, right to life, Section 33, right to dignity of human person, Section 35 rather, right to personal liberty, Section 36, right to fair hearing, Section 37, right to privacy, Section 38, right to religion. Those are things that you need to know. Do you understand? When you are answering these certain questions. So when you are entering your exam hall, you know, this is a statute-based course. I must quote section. This is a based course. Now, if it's a mixed course, then you have to understand as at what point does it stop. Do you understand? So if it's a mixed course, for example, you have something like land law. So now, when you have land law, from the beginning of land law, it talks about customary tenancy, talks about this, talks about that. All those things are gotten from cases. For example, it tells you that when you are about to sell a family property, for example, that family property must be such that all the principal members must assent to it. Do you understand that? If the principal members don't assent to it, that particular sale, then it becomes a voidable contract where the family head has assented to that particular contract. But a void contract where the family head does not assent to it, that is a rule under land law. You see, that rule is in the first part of land law where you are talking about the customary law and all that. That is the case of Ekpendu versus Erika. Do you understand? Now, those are case-based courses. Case-based part of land law. But when we are getting to the latter part of land law, you are talking about sections. When the Land Use Act of 1978 came into inception, since that time, most of the things we'll be talking about will have to be on Section 1 of Land Use Act, Section D of Land Use Act. You have the case of Savannah Bank versus Agilo. You have the case of Awoju Gbagbe versus Light Industries, and all those cases like that. You guys understand what I'm talking about? So when you understand the courses that you are studying, from there you can now move on to how do you want to answer the questions. Don't forget, a little recap. From the first thing to the last thing, we were talking about the fact that you need to get a course outline. Not just that, you need to make sure you go to classes. You need to make sure you have at least one textbook. Don't read more than one textbook except it is necessary. Then number 4, you need to know the courses that you are studying. Then after that, you need to, the last one, I was writing this thing, and then at some point I had to stop and say, you know what, you have to pray like you have not read, and then read like you have not prayed. Why is that important? Because it is faculty of law. They are going to want to finish you. So as you are reading, make sure that you ask God for direction and purpose. Do you understand? So that He navigates you through the necessary parts of where you need to go to while reading and all those things, and also makes you remember. Because what's the point of reading if you don't remember in the long run? Do you understand? So now it's time for us to move into the second segment, which is how to write law exams and pass and all that. Do you understand? So
next up, how Sensei works. Sensei does 3 things upon sign up. First of all, you are matched with tutors or senseis that you could learn from on our platform. How we select, or how the application selects who you learn from, is based on your university, your academic course, as well as your academic level. Getting those information into our database, we're able to match you with tutors who are best suited to your academic needs, probably within the same academic level as you, or undertaking the same field of study as you. The second thing that you can do on Sensei is to ask questions. University is all about a lot of questions, a lot of controversies, a lot of things that you need to learn from. So put those questions on Sensei. Let the whole community help you discover the answer that you need. And of course, other senseis might see your questions and might guide you to where you can discover the answer best suited to your purpose. And the third thing, we all need a lot of academic material to study. Sensei is a community-grown learning resource suitable for your learning needs. It is curated by your friends, it is curated by tutors, people that will speak your learning language, making sure that the academic content produced is easily digestible for you. And that's how Sensei works in a nutshell.
Okay, so guys, now I just went through the comment section, and then someone asked a beautiful question, which is, how many hours a day are you expected to read? Which is a very important question, actually, because I think I must have skipped something in the first thing. I think one thing is, you are supposed to start reading from the beginning of the semester, so that you don't overwhelm yourself when it is 1 month to exam. Personally, for me, I start reading from the beginning of the semester. So, and then when I am reading, I usually tell people that are around me, I can't dictate how many hours you should read. You are the one that can talk about how many hours you can read or what you can do. For somebody like me, what I can tell you is find a time that is best for you to read. You see, somebody like me, first of all, I cannot read when it's in the evening, because after I go to work in the morning or go to class in the morning and then I'm coming back, I can't read in the evening. I read only in the morning. You see, I try as much as possible to sleep early, and then when I wake up around 4-5, and then you see that time from 4-5 to around 7-8, that's 3 hours thereabouts. You see, just 3 hours in a day, I try to optimize it to read. Do you understand? And then I like food, so I used to make sure I buy food the night before, so that I eat when I wake up in the morning. Or you don't eat in the morning, something like very light, like bread or banana or something. If you wake up and eat you are going back to sleep. Do you understand? So for me, 3 hours a day, or at least I must try and make sure I have like 2 hours a day, like give or take. I must have like 2 hours a day. Why? Because little drop of water would fill a bucket. Do you understand? You cannot make a mighty ocean in law, but at least you can fill a bucket. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you start reading from the beginning and you are taking it 2 hours just like that, 2 hours just like that, by the time you get to the end of the semester, your note is complete. All you just do is revise. So I'm not part of those people that tell you, oh, you must die in the library. You must no. If you are that kind of person, by all means, there are some people that love reading. They just love staying in the library. It's actually very beautiful, because sometimes when I need explanation on something like that, I go to these people and they explain very well for me. But for someone like me, 2 to 3 hours. For you, it can be 8 to 10 hours. You understand? So it depends on what suits you and what suits your schedule. So now let us move on to, how do you answer law questions? Now, I already told you the kind of courses that we have and what to do when you are studying. Now we have to talk about how to answer the law questions. Now, there are 3 types of law questions. People usually say there are two, but I personally will tell you that there are three types of law question. There is problem question, there is problem question, you have the essay question, then you have the essay question in a problem form. That is what I like to call the last question. We have the first one, problem question. Everybody knows that we have problem question. The second one, you have the essay question. Then the third one, you have the essay question in a problem form. Do you understand? Now, let us start with the problem question. So, I'm going to read out something to you right now, and then we are going to look at the issues and try to sort it out. How do we answer it? Then after that, we talk about the essay question. Then after that, we talk about the essay question in problem form. But please, if you have any question, please put it down in the comment section below, so that as I'm talking, once in a while, I'll be going down to read through and answer your questions like the way I answered the one before. Do you understand? So, what is it? Oh, okay. Yes, you can also download the app. I will appreciate if you download the app right now. The link should be somewhere around in the description or somewhere around, or you can go to Play Store and please drop your questions there. The Sensei app is on, so we'll just read through it and be able to answer the questions. Please download the Sensei app. The Sensei app is supposed to be a community where we learn. So why not start now? Do you understand? So before I move on, let's watch one more video before I move on.
Sensei is an online learning community for tertiary level students. Within our community, we do three basic things. The first thing is to match our users with tutors or senseis, as we like to call them on our platform. These senseis are high intellect students or external tutors who have been approved by the community based on their activity on the platform and have been identified as people that you can learn from. The second thing we do on Sensei is to host and promote academic content on our platform. This content comes in two various forms. It could be words to read or video tutorials, as you'll be seeing more often via our social media channels. And the third thing we do on Sensei is to promote interactive learning. This we do by hosting a question and answer forum on our platform. Here you are able to discuss with like minds, know what topics are raising controversies here and there. And of course, you have senseis who can chip in with answers. We as a team hope that Sensei will improve your learning experience and your academic journey during your stay at the university or tertiary level. Thank you.
Still back. Okay. So guys, I'm sorry, I went through the questions again before I go into this problem question that I want to solve. So the question, people were asking different questions. They were asking, how do I read for long and not feel dizzy? Do you understand? Now, you see, personally, I would answer that question by saying, you don't necessarily need to read for long. The way our brain works is such a way that when you wake up in the morning, that is the time that you can read and retain the most. That's why I wake up and read. That time my brain is extremely empty. Like I'm just waking up. Anything that I'm reading, it is going on 4G. Do you understand? So while reading, the first 2 to 3 hours, you can take it longer. It doesn't matter. The first 2 to 3 hours it is what matters a lot. Try to tap into the most important time of your day, which is the time you wake up. Then when you've done that, other times, if you know you are not the kind of person that reads for a long time, no problem. Read 2 hours, go and play, but you have to be disciplined about it. When I mean go and play, I don't say go and play football. I mean go and gist, talk, or eat, or stroll, then come back, read for another 2 hours, because your brain can't go long stretch. We are all created differently. The way our fingers are, some are like this, some they can sit down. You see that sitting posture, 6 hours straight, they are going. If you know you are not like that, know the kind of person that you are. We are all different. The beauty of life is in the difference of our persons. Do you understand? So that I am different from you. I can only tell you that you can do it like this or like this. I can't tell you that you must do it like this. Do you understand? So if you are not the kind of person that can go long time, then go short, cut it, stroll, come back, short. Cut it, stroll, come back, short. Do you understand? Then by the time you see it, but the most important time to retain. In short, when I wake up in the morning, I don't wake up to write. I wake up to read. Do you understand? And there are ways by which I read. Some people say, what if I don't retain cases? That's why I tell you to wake up in the morning. When you wake up, you see what you read in the morning is the most important. And for me, when I was in year 2, year 3 first semester thereabout, I was having problem with my law courses. Why? Because I did not know how important it was to have your own notes. You might feel that, oh, it is not necessary. You don't need to have your notes. It is this, it is that. It is very necessary. Because for me, I can't retain cases in my head if they are not in my handwriting and if they are not in a manner that is written in my notes. When I enter exam hall, you see, I don't ask any of my friends for anything. You see, when I enter exam hall, it's me, Jesus Christ, and God. So I sit down and then I just picture my notes in my head. You see, like this. Once I picture the notes, all the cases are coming. I'm writing it down. Do you guys understand? I don't cram it. And another thing is that I always make sure I talk about these things with my friends. So when you talk about it, oh, you were quoting the case, you did not remember, you went back to your note, you read it again, then you quoted it. When you do it frequently enough, it will stick. You will not forget it. So that's another reason you need to have a group of people that you talk to. You actually need to have a group of people. You know, there's one statement that I saw, or I heard rather. If you work with 5 smart people, you'll be the 6th one. If you work with 5 stupid people, you'll be the 6th one. So you need to work with people that are smart, because only then can you be the 6th one. Do you understand? So your friends, they matter a lot. If you work with friends that is, hey, kinikon, I'm not saying that it's bad to follow them. I have a lot of friends. Me, I have a lot of friends. Some, they don't like law. Some like law. If you know that you, God, and your cause, follow God and your cause. I know that follow certain friends are going to help you with your cause. There are some people that, you know, they have their ways of life. Do you understand? So once you follow your own cause and like your friends around your cause, you'll be able to maneuver your way through. Have good friends that you guys can talk about what the lecturer has taught. In fact, when you're feeling tired in the morning, your friends will go to class and then come back and say, Oga, the lecturer taught this. Make sure that you do it before the next class. Those kind of people that will ginger you to want to read, not the one that you are feeling tired. Your friend, even us too. Let us Netflix and chill. Okay. You understand what I'm talking about. So let us go to the answers to the question now. I want to go to the question because my time, I'm trying to be as fast as possible. So now the problem question will be going on the screen. I'm reading it out. I hope you guys can read it as well. Sir, will you be going? Okay, so now it starts like this. Davido and Wizkid are students of University of Lagos. If you are wondering why I use University of Lagos, because that's the school of first choice and nation's pride. After being kicked out by their previous landlord for not paying rent, they went searching for a new apartment. Now, Mr. Banky W, a house owner at Abule Oja, invited them to check out the house. Do you understand? Now, while going through the fittings of the house, they discovered that the house had no air conditioner. There was no AC in the house. And they also used a shared toilet, which means it's that kind of house where, about 5-6 houses in the compound, or rooms in the compound are sharing the same toilet. Now, because of Wizkid's past experience of toilet infections and Davido's allergy to heat, they told Mr. Banky W, that's the landlord, that without a toilet, they cannot have the house. And then they left. Now, on hearing this, Mr. Banky W decided to install ACs into the house, as well as build a separate toilet for them. On contacting them about the new development, he learned that they had gotten a new apartment from Mr. Don Jazzy. Now, Mr. Banky W has come to meet you for advice. With the aid of decided cases, advise the parties. Now, you see, when I'm in an exam hall, and another thing, when you're about to answer certain questions, you don't answer these questions with emotion. You answer them with the law. Some people will just start with, it's a very unfair thing now. What do you mean? Why will you just do such a thing? What are you saying? That is not how to answer law questions. You go straight to the law. Do you understand? And now when you're answering law questions, I'm sorry, I want to get bored. When you're answering law questions, is it good? So when you're answering law questions, you answer it in IRAC. Now, one of my lecturers said, it's not clear, is it? So you answer it with IRAC, I RAC. I don't know if you guys can see it. Is it clear enough now?
Is it a black thing?
Yeah, I want to use the black one. Can everybody see it now? Can we see it? Okay, so now, like I was saying, when you're answering your questions, you follow this rule, you follow the issue, the rule, the application, and the conclusion. You see what lecturers usually do in exam hall is that they will make sure that they give you very irrelevant facts. In the question, you will now be looking at facts that are not irrelevant, that are not relevant, and then you start answering. No, you go to the issue, the law. The first thing you look at, what is the issue? Issue. When you're talking about issue is what is meant to be determined, what is causing the problem in the question. You see what lecturers usually do also is that they put one line in a sentence can be an issue, but you will not know. Just one line. The reason I made this one very simple, there's only one issue here, but the reason I made this one very simple is because this is the first time. I'm presuming that this is the first time you are learning something like this, so I don't want to give you something very, if I'm teaching probably your first student or my fellow classmates on something like this, then we can start pointing out the issues. But yeah, I'm trying to let you understand how the issues work. So some lecturers will give you very irrelevant facts, like very irrelevant things, and then inside those irrelevant things, they'll just be imputing it one by one, small inside. You will just be looking at it, you'll be having fun while you're reading. I'm very sure when I was reading it, Davido and Wizkid, they went to read it, you don't mean it, okay? And then, Davido has allergies for heat. All those are very irrelevant. Everything I said there, very relevant. Move straight to the relevant point. What is the relevant issue for determination? Now, when you're couching your issue, you start it with whether or not. That's how I start my issue. Even when you're arguing before the court too, most times the lawyers start it with whether or not. So it's advisable you start with whether or not. So whether or not, now they said advise Mr. Banky W. And then, they said Mr. Banky W came to you for advice. Then at the end of it, it says advise all parties. When it tells you to advise all parties, you must advise Mr. Banky W as well as Mr. Wizkid, as well as Mr. Wizkid, Mr. Davido, and Mr. Don Jazzy. But only when they are relevant to the issue that you are raising. This issue here is on contract. Is counter offer a valid offer? Simple. That is the only issue here. Is counter offer a valid offer? And there's also a second issue, actually. I just remembered now. There's also a second issue. Whether Mr. Banky W's acceptance by conduct is a valid acceptance. Do you understand? Now, can counter offer be a valid offer? And whether or not Mr. Wizkid and Mr. Davido's counter offer is a valid offer. Whether or not Mr. Wizkid and Mr. Davido's counter offer is a valid offer. Now, whether or not Mr. Wizkid and Mr. Davido's counter offer is a valid offer. That's our first issue. What was the counter offer there? The counter offer was where, you know that when they entered into the house, this is a little bit of contract. I have to teach you based on, Now, when they entered into the house, the offer was made by the man. That's the person that is selling the house. He told them, this is the house and I'm selling it for so price, or I am renting it for so price. Will you accept? They said, I can't accept because there is no AC and there is no toilet. Therefore, they've countered the offer of Mr. Banky W. So the question, therefore, is whether or not a counter offer is a valid offer, and whether or not Mr. Wizkid and Mr. Davido's counter offer is a valid offer. Do you understand? So when you have raised the issue, then you now go to the application of the rule. We've raised the relevant issue. You see why I told you when you are reading your notes, when you're writing your note rather and reading also, you have to write rule, issue, issue then rule. Rule then what's the name of that thing? Case. Rule then case. Rule then case. Do you understand? So when you are writing your notes, you write rule, because this thing, whether or not counter offer is a valid offer, is a rule. There has to be a case attached to it. Do you understand? This is an issue. There has to be a case. The case here is Major Oni versus Communication Associates. Do you guys understand? So now, after we have gotten our issue, then we are applying the rule. The rule here is Major Oni versus Communication Associates. Now we have to go to the application of the rule. Do you understand? Now, when you have stated the rule, according to the case of Major Oni versus Communication Associates, the court held. You see, when you are writing your exam, it is not necessary that you write the facts all the time of all the cases, except it is pari material. Pari material means the same thing with the fact up. That means the fact that has been given you by your examiner. Don't write the fact all the time. Most people will want to show that, yes, I am JSC, I am JCA, I am whatever it is, and then they just, in the case of this versus this, A and this and this and this, then the court held. You are wasting your time. Note that you have only 2 hours 30 minutes to answer 4 questions, which means that you are giving 30 minutes per question and then 30 minutes to cross. 30 minutes per question. You know that you have to read the question first to understand. If you are from the University of Lagos and you are offering questions like, you are offering courses like land law and equity, you have to first read the question. When I looked at my year 4 land law question, equity question, number 2, my coursemates can never forget this. I read it for the first time and I was confused. I was lost. When you read a question, I don't even know what to do first. I can remember my year 2 legal systems when a particular professor set a question for us. When he set that question for us, I was wearing a suit, a 3-piece suit, and there was no light. When I was entering, I think it was a Martin period or something like that. So when I entered, I was feeling cold and all that and cozy. And then immediately I sat down and then I saw the question. There was this heat that came from the within. You see, the way I was removing the tie, removing my jacket, I removed, in fact, my white shirt, I still had to remove it a little. This heat, my friends around me were just laughing because the heat was too hot. Do you understand? Now, this is what I'm talking about. So when you are reading, read in such a way that when you enter the exam hall, it is easy for you to answer. So you read with your rule, then your case. Your rule, then your case. Offer can be made to the whole world. Rule, case, Khalil versus Kabolik. Simple. And also when you are reading, for every rule, don't have more than 2 cases. It's okay. Don't, because you have a lot of cases to put in your head. It's not that for one rule, you have 50 cases, another rule, 50 cases, another rule, 50 cases. Then you now want to pack everything in your head. Even the judges themselves don't have all those cases in their head. They still have to go and consult their book. So when you are writing, when you're writing your notes, have those 2 cases in such a way that by the time you want to read all of them, it will be easy to put in your head. So now you see that for this rule now, I have just 1 case. There are more cases, but I can answer this with 1 case and then maybe put the definition of offer according to the case of Orient Bank versus Bilante. What is an offer? An offer is a statement by somebody in such a way that when the other party accepts what that person is offering, the person is the person has binded himself. Do you understand? Now, when you are looking at it, according to Nikitobi, he said that an offer must be unequivocal, an offer must leave no room for conjecture. What does it mean to leave no room for conjecture? It means that it must be so clear that the other party can understand it. Now, in this case, when you are looking at the counter offer here, the counter offer was very clear. He said that he would have gotten the house, but he did not get the house because there is no AC and then there is no toilet. So therefore, it becomes a counter offer that is unequivocal and leaves no room for conjecture. So when I'm applying the rule here, I apply what the court has held here. I apply it as against the facts. So I will bring the facts down. Here, I apply facts times rule times case. Do you understand? I apply fact times rule times case. So yes, I will bring that fact that is causing the problem. I'll bring it down here. I will now carry this rule. What is the rule as in the case of Major Ni versus Communication Associates? I'll bring it here. Then I will now bring the case as my authority and back it up. Then my conclusion, and I write, it is submitted. It is submitted that Banky W is this, or that Davido is that. You then submit finally. So this is I'm trying to make it very easy so that you can have an idea of what it is like. I'm sorry that I'm so fast. I'm fast because it's just 1 hour and I'm trying to cover as much as I can cover so that you guys, because I know that a lot of you are very close to exams, especially University of Lagos. Our exam is like in 2 weeks time, so I want everybody to learn as much as possible from the video. So before I move on to the other parts, let me look at your question in the comment section. Please watch this video.
Next up, how Sensei works. Sensei does 3 things upon sign up. First of all, you are matched with tutors or senseis that you could learn from on our platform. How we select, or how the application selects who you learn from, is based on your university, your academic course, as well as your academic level. Getting those information into our database, we're able to match you with tutors who are best suited to your academic needs, probably within the same academic level as you, or undertaking the same field of study as you. The second thing that you can do on Sensei is to ask questions. University is all about a lot of questions, a lot of controversies, a lot of things that you need to learn from. So put those questions on Sensei. Let the whole community help you discover the answer that you need. And of course, other senseis might see your questions and might guide you to where you can discover the answer best suited to your purpose. And the third thing, we all need a lot of academic material to study. Sensei is a community-grown learning resource suitable for your learning needs. It is curated by your friends, it is curated by tutors, people that will speak your learning language, making sure that the academic content produced is easily digestible for you. And that's how Sensei works in a nutshell.
Remember the fact. Is that done? What's next?
Sensei is an online learning community for tertiary level students. Within our community, we do 3 basic things. The first thing is to match our users with tutors or senseis, as we like to call them, on our platform. These senseis are high intellect students or external tutors who have been approved by the community based on their activity on the platform and have been identified as people that you can learn from. The second thing we do on Sensei is to host and promote academic content on our platform. This content comes in 2 various forms. It could be words to read or video tutorials, as you'll be seeing more often via our social media channels. And the third thing we do on Sensei is to promote interactive learning. This we do by hosting a question and answer forum on our platform. Here you are able to discuss with like minds, know what topics are raising controversies here and there. And of course, you have senseis who can chip in with answers. We as a team hope that Sensei will improve your learning experience and your academic journey during your stay at the university or tertiary level. Thank you.
Problem question.
Yeah. No, don't worry, don't play. Then IG Life is what?
How do you combine faculty activities with LLM?
Okay. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to collate your questions all together in such a way that I can answer it all up. So let me start with the question from IG Life, which says that how do you answer how do you combine your LLB activities with other social responsibility? Oh yes, how do you combine your activities, your LLB activities? Now, someone like me, I am a person that I am extremely social. I'm the class rep of my class, and I love my job so much, being the class rep of my class. That's year 5, law class 20 of Faculty of Law. So which means, and we are about 500 people. So which means that I have a lot of work to do. And not just that, I work because I have to earn money. Do you understand? And then I do a lot of other things. For example, I am the National Director of Policies, Programs and Projects of the whole Law Students Association in Nigeria. So how am I able to balance these things? Now, like I told you, the only time you can do that is when you start reading from the beginning of the semester. When you read from the beginning of the semester, and always make sure you attend classes. I never joke with any of my classes. I must attend it. It is only when maybe the hold up or something, or it is beyond. If it's hold up, I'll come back from that vehicle, carry Okada to school or something. Except it is extra and beyond my ability. So you have to make sure that you attend every class. Every single class, you must attend it. You must write your notes. You must get up to. Do you understand? Once you can do that, there is always space for social activities. I'm not the kind of person that will tell you, no, if you want to be a first class student, you have to see. Reading is one thing. Understanding how to work with people, how to deal with people is a particular, Is a particular skill that not everybody would own. You see, you have to learn it from your daily interaction with people, and you cannot learn it except you go out of your comfort zone and get it. You can't be going to library every day and be coming to class and be going to library and be coming to class and expect to understand or know how to control people, how to work under pressure, how to do a lot of things. You can't. And those are certain soft skills that you are going to find very, very helpful and very useful in a work environment. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to learn how to balance it. Balance is knowing that to put little drops of water of academics in a bucket from the beginning of the semester. Just be dropping it little by little. Always make sure. You see, 3 hours of your day, you have 24 hours in a day. I like sleep, so I make sure I give myself at least 8 hours of sleep in a day. You see, the remaining 2 to 3 hours is for reading. Then the rest can be for my socials. But once you can accumulate 2 to 3 hours from the beginning, by the time you are getting to the end, and on Saturdays you should give more hours. Even starting from the beginning, on Saturday you should have more hours to reading. Sunday evenings too, have more hours to reading. By the time you are getting to the end, you would have done a lot of things. So I hope I've answered that question. And by the way, out of my extracurricular activity, I love mock trials. I love mooting. So I am always in almost every competition. In University of Lagos, I don't think I have lost a mock trial in University of Lagos before. But the first time I lost a mock trial was when I went to Babcock. Because I was appearing before a judge that is a real life judge. When you are in University of Lagos, you appear before lawyers and all that. So I usually bamboozle my way. You see, when I appeared before a real life judge, she was telling me to go to high court laws and all those things that were not taught in school. So do you understand? So I'm just trying to let you know that I'm a very social person, and I also think extracurricular activity is very, very important. So now the other questions: are you supposed to quote case verbatim in exam? Please, you are not supposed to quote cases verbatim. Even the lecturers themselves cannot quote cases verbatim. They know the case, they know the principle in the case. That is what is needed. You need to know the case. Like this one, I know that when you are talking about counter offers, Major Oni versus Communication Associates, I know that when you are talking about supremacy of the Constitution, you have the case of Lakomi versus AG of Oyo State. You have section 1 subsection 3. I know that when you are talking about immunity of the president or the governor, you have section 308 of the Constitution that says that every governor is immune from a civil proceeding and a criminal proceeding. Now that is the case of Tinubu versus IMB Securities. Now for each of them, I know their cases. But to not say, oh, I have to go and quote which judge said this. No, now you have a lot to learn now. Do you understand? You have a lot to learn. Know the section of the Constitution if it's a statute-based course. Know the section, know the case, and that's all. Do you understand? So in also section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, it says that every president and every governor has immunity. But that does not mean that you cannot sue. You can sue, but only in their official capacity. Do you understand? There are also exceptions to it. Go and read section 308. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So you need to know what the law says. So if you are talking about rights, section section 38 gives us right to religion. Abi, putting the case of that girl that wore hijab to call to bar. Now, she was quoting section 38 when she wore hijab to the call to bar ceremony. But section 38 is a derogable right by virtue of section 45. Do you understand? So if you look at section 45, it says it derogates section 38. So you have to understand the intercontinuity between sections, and then you have to understand the cases. Once you've gotten your cases, you've gotten your section, knowing what the judge said. All you need to know is what was paramount, what was held in the case. But now to start cramming it, the law is that no now. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you move on. If you forget a case, but you remember the fact. Now, according to my lecturers, what they told me, that's University of Lagos, when you forget a case and remember the fact, you can either say in the case of A versus B, this and this and this happened and the court held. When the lecturer sees that and the lecturer knows that you know the case, some lecturers can give you the marks. I cannot speak for all lecturers, but some lecturers can give you the marks, others will not. I know there are certain lecturers that will not, but some, they look at it and say, oh, you know what you are doing, so they'll give you the mark. So you have to know your lecturers. If your lecturer is the strict type, remember his cases. If you know he's the nonchalant type, then you know that, oh, I can write in the case of A versus B, or in a decided case. Do you understand? So if you say in a decided case, in the case of A versus B, he applies. Now, moving on. Is it okay to start with element of an offense when you're answering a criminal law question, or you just go straight to the general rule of law? I told you. You see, one of the reasons people usually don't get A in courses like this is because I think when I did criminal law, I had a B in it. Now, one of the reasons probably I did not get an A is because, when you see a criminal law question, especially when you have read a lot, you want to tell the lecturer, say, Mark mine, I know this thing. I am a professor on this subject. You now start. Yes. So now one particular professor said that kiniko. Then one particular judge said that kiniko. Then you now go to the section. Now the section is, moreover, you have to. You will not have time to finish. That is the problem. That offer can be made to the whole world. That is not even an issue. But you want them to know that yes, you are a scholar on the subject of offer. Then you now go to the next one. Offer can be, no. You go straight to the issue and go straight to the rule and go straight to your application of fact and the case. Then you conclude. That is it. I was once fortunate to see the marking guide. The reason I know that lecturers want you to go straight to the point is because I was once fortunate to see the marking guide of a particular course I'm not going to mention. Now, the lecturer told me to go and do something in the office, and then I was looking through the files, and then the marking guide slipped off a file. I've already done the course. Even that I've not done the course. God, I foretear that course, but I had done the course at that time, so it was for the other set. You get. Now, when I saw the marking guide, you see, for every question, another thing that people like to do, you have 4 questions. Now you are in question 1. Let's say it is question 1 that you know a lot on. You now pour you can pour the whole textbook in question 1. You now write nothing here, You see, by the end of the day, what you realize is that you did not do anything other than question 1. So every question has been allotted mark. Question 1 is 20. Question 2 is 20. Question 3 is 20. Question 4 is 20. You see that question 1, they want you to quote 5 particular cases in question 1. Question 2, 5 particular. Do you understand what I'm saying? You see, lecturers have marking guide, and their marking guide has already stipulated the cases that they want to see. So when you are reading, that's why I say you have to go to classes, because if you quote cases that the lecturers don't want to see, you are not going to get as much mark as you will quote if you have attended classes. So not only do you have to know the law, you have to also go to the classes. Now in the marking guide, every question has its case. The cases are there. So as they are reading your book, they want to see your cases. If your case, that's the reason, if you are able to quote the 5 cases, maybe there are 5 issues, and out of those 5 issues, 2 cases for each. Let's say you quote just one case, each mark is 2 per case or something like that. I'm just giving you an idea so that you know how lecturers mark. Lecturers are not gods. Lecturers are human beings. They have a model that they follow, and I'm trying to let you understand their model. Lecturers want you to their class and pay attention, and the best way to do this is to give you certain cases that they know you are not going to find in textbook, and so you will come to class to come and get it. And if you don't come to class, they will not force you out of your bed, but exam hall, you will see them. That's the point. Exam hall, you will see them. That's when you start cursing lecturer. This man is a stupid man. This man is a clinical man. The man did not do anything. You are the one that did not go to his class. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now let us go to the next question. How can you tell a problem question from an essay question and a combination of both? Now, I already gave you, this is a problem question. A problem question is a question that they tell you advise the parties, or with the aid of decided cases, discuss the issues in this particular question. Do you understand? When they tell you advise the parties, or they tell you with the aid of decided cases, discuss the issues, is a problem question. When an essay question is usually straight to the point, differentiate between A and B, explain the clinical. They usually know Ade and Bayo went to the market. Ade saw. For an essay question, it is straight to the point. Like it is usually straight to the point. So you can see I wanted to show you guys a question on conveyancing that was an essay question, but I didn't want you guys to. So I think the essay question that I used as an example was on legal method. So they can tell you differentiate between the positive theory and the natural theory of law. Now that's an essay question. And then somebody now asked me that in an essay question, can you tabulate? This is not government. I've told you guys, you cannot be tabulating in a law question. You can't tabulate. When you are told to differentiate, what you will do is that you can start with the definition. Now, in natural law, what you see is A. In positive law, what you find is B. Do you understand? Your next point. Secondly, in natural law, you see, you just follow what they want you to do is differentiate. So you just have to differentiate by enumerating your points. In number one, this, number two, this. You can answer it as number 1, 2, 3, and also you can answer it like you're writing an essay straight down. So you can just answer it firstly, secondly, thirdly, moreover, furthermore, and then keep going down in that particular sequence. Do you guys understand? So you can't say that you want to tabulate. So problem questions are usually like this. Now, I know that when I was telling you types of questions, I told you that you have problem questions, you have essay questions, then you have essay questions in a problem form. I told you that. Now, you see this fact that I gave you, this Davido and Wizkid fact. You see, at the end of the day, if I tell you explain the law regarding counter offer. Now that is an essay question in a problem form. So if I tell you explain the law regarding counter offer, what you do, you are explaining in an essay form, but you are going to be removing certain relevant facts from the fact that has been given above, and you'll be using it while explaining. Here, you are not bringing out issues. When you are bringing out issues, it's like you are arguing. In issue, it's like you are arguing, although they tell you advice. Advice is in a form of argument. So you tell the party that you are advising that this is the issue that I want to bring out. In this issue, this is the law. In this law, because of the way your case is, this is the conclusion. So in your conclusion, especially when it is not a conclusive area of law, you can tell him that means in the conclusion, it is either you choose A or you choose B. But this is a conclusive area of law. Counter offer is a valid offer. And so the counter offer of Wizkid and Davido became a valid offer. And where Mr. Banky W already accepted by conduct. Do you understand? He didn't accept orally. He didn't tell them, oh, I am going to fix it. But he accepted with his action by going to fix it. He has therefore accepted that offer, and it became a binding contract from there on. And since it is a binding contract, if they do not, do their part of the contract, it becomes a breach. Do you guys understand? So that is your submission. Do you understand? You must follow this sequence. When you are told to answer a particular question, you look for the relevant issue. Don't start with definition. Another thing, in problem question, you don't define, except maybe you are trying to make the lecturer say something. But yeah, you are advising a party. Let's say whether or not Mr. Wizkid and Davido, counter offer is a valid offer. You now start with definition. Okay, first of all, let us define what there is no time. You are being trained to be a lawyer. If you are arguing before a judge, for example, do you start by defining what a counteroffer is to a judge? No, you go straight to the point. The lecturers know what it is. If they wanted you to define, they would have made it an essay. In essay, that is where definition is most important. In essay question, you usually start with a definition, then you go into the crux of your argument. In problem question, you go straight into the crux of your argument. You don't define here and there. Do you guys understand? You go straight to the crux of your argument, and then you go through it. Do you guys understand? So yes, I want to look at the comment section once more. So please watch the video. Yeah.
Next up, how Sensei works. Sensei does 3 things upon sign up. First of all, you are matched with tutors or senseis that you could learn from on our platform. How we select, or how the application selects who you learn from, is based on your university, your academic course, as well as your academic level. Getting those information into our database, we're able to match you with tutors who are best suited to your academic needs, probably within the same academic level as you, or undertaking the same field of study as you. The second thing that you can do on Sensei is to ask questions. University is all about a lot of questions, a lot of controversies, a lot of things that you need to learn from. So put those questions on Sensei. Let the whole community help you discover the answer that you need. And of course, other senseis might see your questions and might guide you to where you can discover the answer best suited to your purpose. And the third thing, we all need a lot of academic material to study. Sensei is a community-grown learning resource suitable for your learning needs. It is curated by your friends, it is curated by tutors, people that will speak your learning language, making sure that the academic content produced is easily digestible for you. And that's how Sensei works in a nutshell. Sensei is an online learning community for tertiary level students. Within our community, we do 3 basic things. The first thing is to match our users with tutors or senseis, as we like to call them on our platform. These senseis are high intellect students or external tutors who have been approved by the community based on their activity on the platform and have been identified as people that you can learn from. The second thing we do on Sensei is to host and promote academic content on our platform. This content comes in 2 various forms. It could be words to read or video tutorials, as you'll be seeing more often via our social media channels. And the third thing we do on Sensei is to promote interactive learning. This we do by hosting a question and answer forum on our platform. Here you are able to discuss with like minds, know what topics are raising controversies here and there. And of course, you have senseis who can chip in with answers. We as a team hope that Sensei will improve your learning experience and your academic journey during your stay at the university or tertiary level. Thank you.
Yeah, so guys, there are a lot of questions that are coming in. Please download the Sensei app and ask them there, so that after this session we can also have a very interactive and intellectual conversation on the Sensei app. So some people, someone asked the question on the Sensei app, and the person asked based on the High Court laws of Lagos State as well as the Federal High Court. Now, he said that if a rape case happened in Lagos, obviously what we apply would be the criminal law of Lagos State. Now, the case is taken to a state high court, and then the person is not satisfied with the matter, and then the person, appeals the case to a federal high court. Now, the question is, there we have to, bring out an issue whether or not a case can be appealed from a state high court to a federal high court. That is the relevant issue in that question. If you guys want to look at the question, I think it should be going on the screen now. Yeah. So out of that question, can a state high court appeal a case to a federal high court? Now that we've gotten our rule, then we now go to the now that we've gotten our issue, then we now go to the rule. Now we have to look at the jurisdiction of the court. What law guides the jurisdiction of the court? Is it case law or statutes? Now it is the Constitution. If you go to section, I think 251, I don't know, you guys can correct me, but I think it's section 251 of the Constitution. It enumerates the jurisdiction of these courts. Do you guys understand? Section 232 and also the additional jurisdiction of the Supreme Court Act or something like that also enumerates the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Do you understand? So now you have to look through this Constitution, look through those parts and look at the jurisdiction of each court. Do you guys understand? You have to look through the jurisdiction of each court and see what will apply. So after we've raised the issue, whether or not state court can appeal to federal high court. Is it possible for state court to appeal to federal high court? Now when you've gotten that, you now go to the rule. The rule there is, although I know it, but I think you cannot appeal a case from a court to another court of concurrent jurisdiction. The state high court and the federal high court have concurrent jurisdiction except in some matters that concerns only the federal government alone. If you look at section 251, it enumerates all those things. So once I've looked at the rule, then I now look at the fact. I now go to the conclusion. In my conclusion, I bring the fact of the case, I bring the rule, and then I bring cases to mix it up before I conclude. Do you guys understand? So yes, I've spoken about what I saw on the Sensei app. A lot of students asking for year one students, what do we do? What do we do? Year one students, I know that you guys are the most fragile, and for legal method, you see, for every other course, you can cram, can do poetry, English, you can do everything you want. But you see, for legal method, you have to read from the beginning of the semester and then read towards the end. Now, if you're at this point and you're a new lag student and you're asking, what do you do? Pray. After you pray, go back to that same book and read it, because there's no other way you can pass an exam without reading. You have to read. If you're asking what do, you have to read. Now it's just that the technique or the method of reading should be quite different because you are behind schedule. Do you understand? So you have to look for somebody who is good enough, someone who can put you through so that I can make it faster for you. Do you understand? While you are reading, to speed up your pace, because your exams are quite approaching. So let me look at if there's any other question before I round up the whole session. So is there any other question?
Sensei is an online learning community for tertiary level students. Within our community, we do three basic things. The first thing is to match our users with tutors or senseis, as we like to call them, on our platform. These senseis are high intellect students or external tutors who have been approved by the community based on their activity on the platform and have been identified as people that you can learn from. The second thing we do on the Sensei is to host and promote academic content on our platform. This content
Okay, so I think I got a question from Instagram Live that says that it is tautology to use whether or not one formulating a question. Now, some lecturers might deem it fit as tautology, but in my school, University of Lagos, all the questions I've answered, I have used whether or not. Do you understand? Even in court, when I was interning, I've interned in Ministry of Justice, Office of the Public Defender. I've interned in different firms as well. Now, when I was interning, most of the things that they use, when you are in a criminal matter, after you guys have done your cross-examination, re-examination, examination in chief, and all those things, you must write a written address to the court. Do you understand? And after your written address, if you want to appeal, you must write on your grounds of appeal. So you still start and couch it with whether or not blah blah blah. Do you understand? So I'm telling you, in court they use whether or not. Do you understand? So it's not, if it might, in English language it might be tautology, but what is, in practice people use it. Do you understand? It might be tautology, but people use it. So I got another question as to, if you have not finished the course outline, what do you do? Okay, now it is a very, very good question, and this is what I do when I've not finished the course outline. I go to my past question. I don't even know why I skipped that self. I go to my past question. You know what I do? I go and look at what are those courses, those topics that the lecturer always asks. There is this question, for example, if you are studying a contract in Unilag, number 1 is offer and acceptance. You cannot skip it. You can't. There is no medicine that you want to use, no juju man that you want to call. That department, they must set offer and acceptance. Number 2 and number 3, or number 2 or number 3 can be consideration. You see, number 1 can be offer, number 2 can be acceptance, and number 3 can be consideration. It could be in that form, or they can scatter it. Do you guys understand? But you see, there are some topics that do not always come out under contract all the time. So you see that offer, acceptance, and consideration, I must read it. Intentions to enter legal relations usually come out, but not all the time. Then capacity also, it comes out. Privity, it comes out. I'm trying to tell you that in a particular question, when you see privity, you might not see capacity. In the one you see capacity, you might not see privity. Also, although there are also some that you see privity and capacity. Do you understand? So you just have to study how the past question is. Here, you are not reading hard, you are reading smart, because you know that, and then that is the reason you have to follow the course. If you keep going to class all the time, there are some things your lecturer will keep saying over and over again. You will know that this man don't shout this thing so many times. Man, go read them. Do you understand? He has shouted and shouted and shouted. I need to read this thing. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So if you keep going to classes, you can determine where a person is going to, where a lecturer is going to, bring out his question and all that, and also study past questions. There are no better ways to learn a particular course than to study the past question for it. And most times, lecturers usually repeat their past question. Most of the schools, they usually repeat their past question. So once you can study and study and study and study over and over again, by the time you enter the exam hall, what you've seen, you must have done it before. At least you must have done something as similar. And then, everything just becomes very easy for you. So, yeah, I think I am done with all the questions, right? Okay, so I think, guys, I think I'm done with the questions. So if you have any other question, I'm going to answer all your questions on the Sensei app. Please make sure that you click the Play Store right now. Please make sure you click it and download Sensei and then create a profile. After that, you can ask your questions, and then I'll be able to answer you. So just a brief recap. Today I spoke about how to study law and then how to write your law exams. And I told you that when you're studying law, please make sure you get the course outline, make sure you go to classes, make sure you read in accordance with the type of course that you are reading. Make sure you also have a note. It is very, very important. If you don't have a note, then when it's exam time, you don't know what to read from. When you are reading from textbook, you will not remember everything, but everything is inside your note. The classes that you've had from the lecturers, compiled with the notes from the textbooks, you put them all together and you arrange it and you read them, then you have a better understanding and a better grasp of the course. And then I told you to also pray, because it is very important. Pray like you've not read, and then read like you've not prayed, and also study past questions. It is extremely, extremely important to study past questions, because they are going to help you with how to go through it. And then, yes, I can remember now, someone asked a question as to whether you are supposed to answer essay questions with IRAC. You don't need to answer essay questions with IRAC, because there is no issue that you are raising. Do you understand? If I had given you a complex question on law right now, you would have seen that when you are raising issues, I can raise in a particular question. I think when I was doing equity in year 4, they were in one question, I raised about 8 issues. 8 issues in one question, because there were about 8 people that had interest in a particular property. And how to, whether or not Mr. B's interest is this, whether or not Mr. C's interest is this, whether or not and I was answering each of those questions and concluding. Now, most people usually say when you have a lot of issues like that, you should combine it. I will not advise you to combine it. I will advise you to separate them, but make sure that you go straight to the point in your answering. Don't answer and start quoting. Let's say you've quoted here, you are re-quoting here. You can just say subject to what I've quoted in the first place, and then you continue. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I was able to raise 8 issues and then I answered it. But in a problem question, you don't need to raise issues. You just go straight. They've asked you, what's the difference between this and this? What issue are you raising? Just go straight. When you are comparing and contrasting, compare. You can compare first, then contrast later. Do your comparison first, then you don't. Because when your lecturer, you know that your lecturers have a lot of script to mark. If your script is hard to read, they just say, oh, this person is not writing what I can understand. Let me just give person 5. But when your script is such that they can understand, they can see the compare, they can see the contrast, and then they can flow through your scripts, then you are fine. Do you understand? So essay questions are usually straight to the point. Now when you have, I told you when you're answering law questions, you have problem questions, you have essay questions, and then you have essay questions in a problem form. When you're answering essay questions, this is how you answer it. You answer it with rule, with issue, rule, application, and conclusion. And then I give you an example. I think somebody said I should expatiate a little on the application part. When you are applying your rule, you bring the fact from the above, you bring it down, then you bring your rule. Tell us, according to the fact that has been stated above, this is the rule that applies, and this is the authority. My authority can be a section as well as a case. Do you understand? So after I brought my fact, my rule, and my section, then I now conclude. It is submitted, flowing from above, that blah blah blah. Do you guys understand? So he has to follow a sequence. Go straight to the point. Don't bamboozle it left and right. Do you guys understand? So yes, when you're answering problem questions, this is how you answer it. When you're answering essay questions, you go straight to the point. Most times, essay questions are things that the lecturers have already told you in class was going to come out. That's how essay questions are. And then for essay questions in problem forms, are usually when you have something like this problem, and then they now tell you explain the law regarding counteroffer. Then you now have to explain, the whole thing. Do you understand? You are explaining it. You are not bringing out issues. You are explaining it, but you are using the facts that I tabled before you earlier. So you are using those facts while explaining the law of counteroffer. That's all. That's essay question in a problem form, and they are actually quite easy. Although there are more complexities into how to answer law questions and all that. This is like the fundamental knowledge. You know that this is for like year 1, year 2, and all that. This is like the fundamental knowledge. There are still going to be more content on how to answer law questions and all that. And they are going to be on the Sensei app. So please make sure that you go to the Sensei app, because there are going to be a lot of things, a whole lot of things that you need to learn, because you have to continue this tradition of learning over and over and over again and all that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this session, this live session that we had today. I thank you so much for watching this live session. All of my friends that came for this live session, I really thank you a lot. I love you guys a lot. Thank you. And for also those that are watching on Sensei or live on Instagram, thank you guys for being here, and those on my YouTube channel, thank you guys for being here. I'll see you guys later. I remain Olayeni, dear Kolola Daniels.